how do you discover this?
Ketamine.
Yeah. Like, how do you discover the ketamine, and how do you discover that this works?
Psychedelic medicine saved my life, man. That's why we started the company. So, like, a lot of my healing didn't happen in a facility like ours because I didn't have access to it at that time. But if it wasn't for psychedelic compounds, I wouldn't be having this conversation with you right
Well,
now.
what kind of psychedelic compounds are you talking about?
So, I healed with DMT, MDMA, LSD, psilocybin mushrooms, and then ultimately ketamine was like the final component of my healing journey.
So you took all that,
Not,
like all different?
yeah,
No, not all at the same
yeah.
time. So you tried. What was the first one you tried?
I mean, listen, like, my did you like I my first LSD experience was in like when I was 14 years old. Okay. So I had I had a lot of recreational psychedelic use growing up and stuff like that, but I also had a lot of substance abuse issues, which I ended up completely getting sober from taking psychedelic medicines. So, you know, I used all of the compounds. It wasn't until I got older and I was really trying to heal with them that I used them therapeutically. And I think that that's what people need to realize is that, like, there are people that abuse psychedelics. Not all of this is for healing, but when utilized properly for the therapeutic value, psychedelic medicines are going to be the future of mental health treatment as we know it. There literally is nothing else that's more effective, in my personal opinion. And this is coming from somebody that suffered for over 20 years and nothing ever worked for me.
Do you know the documentary that I'm talking about that my daughter showed me offhand, or no?
So I think you're probably
Do you know?
talking about How to Change Your Mind, and it's by Michael Pollan, and it was on Netflix.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes, yeah. Where it seemed like he really took a deep dive into that. I was fascinated by it, and I took I had we were on a bachelor party, right? And I try to explain this to people, and I'm like, I'm not promoting. I'm just telling you what happened. And we went camping, and while we went camping, one of my friends said, and I wish I knew if he was cool, if we were allowed to talk about this. Um, and he is a comedian. So he he goes, "We're gonna do mushrooms." I'm like, he's like, no, we're all gonna do mushrooms. We're out in the wilderness, we're fine. Now they were all into taking mushrooms, sitting around a campfire, doing nothing but drinking. I'm not that guy. So I get up and I go on a hike and I start walking, and let me tell you something, and I still tell people to this day. I I sat down in the grass, and there was these gorgeous flowers on the path, and I just sat down, and it was the first time in my life where I can feel its existence, if that makes sense. I can see every tiny particle. I can tell that it was breathing, and I could tell that it had a conscious. It had an actual conscious, a living conscious. And then I saw I'm looking at the grass, and to this day, I can hear the grass breathing. And I'm sure it was my own breath, but I'm watching it. But the best part for me, this is the part that blew my mind. And the only way I can describe to people is it felt like being in Alice in Wonderland, the way it looks and all that. It wasn't a scary feeling. It was the most blissful, comforting feeling. So I'm sitting in the grass. I'm looking at these incredible flowers, the deep layers in it, and this freaking dragonfly. Now, and the way I explained to when you're out in the wilderness, Charles, and like a dragonfly just kind of they look very sporadic and very quick, and they're going up and down and moving all over, and this thing was in slow motion, and I can see him. He was there checking. He was trying to figure me out, and he was moving over, and then he landed on my knee, and he was just looking at me like he's just looking at me like this, and I can feel his I could feel his thought process, and it was the most beautiful. And that's what you're saying. I felt oh my God, absolutely everything is connected. We don't know if there's souls through a dragonfly, through a flower, through the trees, through the grass. Our souls, our spirits are everywhere. And that's the experience it had for me. And I'm sure my wife would get very upset with me for saying this, but I would love to go back in the wilderness and do some mushrooms again one time. I have no problem. I honestly, it reconnected me and rebooted me into how everything is connected. And I know some people are like, I can't believe it. I'm just being honest. I mean, there's being honest and there's horse snowing the whole thing. But so anyway,
check out the Breuniverse every Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. If you can't wait till then, sign up for Patreon and get it 2 days early, along with other exclusive content.